What's going on out there, folks? Welcome on in another edition of Over and Back. I'm your host, Dan Alexander. You can find me on Twitter at Newbie Talks, and super pumped to get into this week because we got a great guest coming on, and I'm not even going to waste your time. I'm bringing him right in right away here. We got Mikey over with us.
What's good?
You can follow, yeah, baby. You can follow him on Twitter at MikeyOver1 and find him on TikTok. I mean, that's where you really want to be getting the second that these videos drop. This dude does a terrific job there. You can follow him also. Join his Discord channel, Betters Bet. Mikey, good to see you, man. Welcome into the show. How you doing, brother?
Good to see you too, bro. I appreciate it. I'm doing good. I mean, off the rip, name of the show. Wow, what a great name. I mean, the minute I'm hearing over, I'm already in. I mean, I'm hoping we're going to take some overs together on this show, but I mean, we'll see what happens. I know I will be. It just depends if I can get you on my side.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key. You know, if I'm looking under, probably the dude whose last name is over here, probably going to try and be swinging me around the other way. And so I'm looking forward to it. We're going to hold court together.
And if you're looking under, this red leave meeting button is looking real good. No, I'm just kidding.
Right out. You're done for. All right, so in case it's the first time you're here in the show, thanks for checking us out. Make sure you like, you subscribe. We get into some quick sticks right at the top, break down 2 games before we swing it on into total talks. Talk some player props, some overs, and maybe not unders. And then we get into our angle of the week, the game that we're both super pumped up for. So that's how we do it. So let's get right into it here, Mikey, and roll on into our quick stick segment. We're going to start with the Chrome and Water Dogs game. Chrome, 1.5 point favorites, total 22.5. Seems like the market is finally respecting Chrome. Do you have that same respect for this squad, or what do you think? Like the Water Dogs, they're solid as underdogs. Did they finally get their first win? How are you breaking down this game, man?
I'm a big Chrome guy. I'm loving the Chrome. I faded him week 1 and lost my cheeks on him. But I now have a relationship with a guy in my Instagram DMs that is a younger brother of a guy on the team, and he's turned me into a complete Chrome head. So I'm all over the Chrome here against the Water Dogs. I know the Water Dogs are solid as underdogs. And that's because they suck. This year, they suck, dude. I don't want anything to do with the Water Dogs. I took them as a favorite and looked like an idiot on the internet. And you won't catch me taking them as an underdog looking like an idiot on the internet. So I'm going to take the Chrome here. They were plus 1.5 last week, rolling into this week, now a favorite and minus 1.5. Just shows you how things can change. So give me the Chrome.
Yeah, and I think the market finally respecting the Chrome, because this is the first time that they're a favorite since August 1st, 2021, so it's been a while for them. However, they still have not covered as a favorite. So, like, are you rolling the dice, taking the 1.5? Because as you were mentioning, the Water Dogs 6-3 as underdogs going back to last year. So you give them goals and they usually fight. Like, are you taking the spread out of it, or are you saying, no, dude, Chrome back, let's roll this and lay it?
So this is my first year betting on the PLL. You know, I absolutely despise baseball and discovered PLL this year, and I'm like now obsessed with it. It's like the best thing ever. It's way better than baseball, especially when we're in the dog days of summer. But the reason why I say that is because I'm watching the games for the first time. And having played lacrosse, having watched lacrosse for a little bit, and now watching the PLL, I have to tell you, I'm still not comfortable with these 1.5 point spreads, especially in a game where there's 2 point shots. And in a game where, as you know, I'm sure you played, I'm sure you were involved in the sport, offense can kick up quick, and that tempo is high all game. And that's why I'm still trying to find my rhythm with 1.5s. I actually favor plus 1.5s though. Like when the Chrome are plus 1.5, I'll take plus 1.5 for the Chrome because I think they're going to win outright. So I'll take the safety a little bit there. But for this game, I can't trust the Water Dogs as far as I can throw them, and I'm sure I can't throw that group of men very far. So I'm not going to take the spread here at all. And honestly, looking at this board, I don't trust a lot of the spreads on here just because I'm still trying to figure that out. I know you've been a student of the game. You love the PLL, so you probably have a better read on the spreads, but I still don't trust them, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just, across all sports, I'm just more of a spread guy. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's just easier for me to always handicap with that in mind, you know, who's going to cover a little bit more. But I think that's what's interesting, and that's why I love, you know, bouncing it back and forth with people in the space, because everybody has their own approach. Everybody has their own way of how they're betting games. You're more of a money line guy in this kind of in a sport, or a total guy. Do you ever get much into the player props? Like, I know, you know, some solid options in this one. We got the Water Dogs and the Chrome taking each other on. Like, any best bets from the player prop side coming out of this for you?
So this is going to be my first week dipping my toes into the player props.
Ooh,
And I have one that I really like in this game.
We're happy to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, let's go. No, but I really like one in this game. When I was going through all the player props, I will say I love the points for sure. And I'm going to go with Logan. Bear with me here. Wisnauskas. Logan, I may have messed up your name, but if you saw my soul, you're never going to hear the end of it. But I'm taking his over at 3.5. I like it here for a lot of reasons. I mean, I think this game is going to be high scoring, though. Like you said, when you give the Water Dogs goals, they like to stay in it. I think this is a game where the Chrome give goals, because the Chrome have been giving goals all season long thus far. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, but all season long. I mean, I'll take the goals where I can get them. And I see him definitely getting his over of 3.5. I think he hit it last week, if I remember correctly, but I remember looking at this number and really liking it at over 3.5.
So we're going over Logan Wisnauskas, potentially an over game, and we're laying it with the Chrome. I love it. Already 2 overs, and we're just a few minutes into the show. That's why Mikey over is on the show. Let's roll into our next game here, my man. Redwoods taking on Chaos. Redwoods favored again. Last week, Devin Caney was our guest, and my main question to her was like, are you surprised the Redwoods are favored? She was like, no, they have good veteran presence, probably a good bounce back spot. Now they're taking on the Chaos. Total in this one also 22.5. I mean, why are the Redwoods like, what is going on with the Redwoods? Like, how are you breaking down this game?
I mean, I've got a couple theories. I think one, Vegas takes the jerseys into account. The Redwoods have a way better jersey. No, I'm just kidding.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think you're seeing this, though, because the Chaos literally just got banged out by the Archers. The Redwoods are coming in, make the Redwoods the favorite. And that's kind of why I like the Redwoods money line here. I feel like you're going to differentiate from me just the way we brought this up already. I feel like I'm walking into a trap. But Redwoods money line, I like just because the Chaos coming off that brutal beat against the Archers, I think plays into it a little bit. But, I'm sure we're going to talk about it later. The Archers are kind of a wagon. So it could just be they went up against the best team in the league.
That could be that simple. The thing is even though like there were multiple times that the Archers were ready to just boat race Chaos, and then they kept making it a game. That's what makes me a little bit worried, because all this team does, the Chaos, is cover games. They now, going back to last year, 8-2 against the spread. And you're looking at a Redwoods team that, as favorites, they're only 2-5 against the spread. So I don't know. I just look at this spot, and I know the Chaos are without their horses. They're still missing guys, but like, this team fights, dude. And that's maybe why I would be concerned with going in on the Redwoods. So I don't know. I think I would take the points with Chaos in this one, is the way that I would probably attack it.
I mean, I can't come on your show and take the Redwoods, and then you'd be like, I'm going to go with the Chaos and not take the Chaos. I mean, listen, I'm down if you're down to flip Chaos plus 1.5. Started the show by telling you guys I hate spreads. Went into this one saying I like the Redwoods, but I mean, we'll go Chaos plus 1.5. If you like,
I really
the Chaos
had to twist your arm there. All I had to do was drop 2 trends to you, and you were like, dude, let's ride. Like,
and I'll tell you something. My arm might be the easiest to twist in the industry, because there are little things that get like, there are some keywords that I call in my TikTok lives trigger words. And if you come in saying this team is due, this guy is due, they're the better team, or this guy is junk, I immediately ride with you. Like, I just, like, there's something wrong with me. Or if you say the word over, I always say that every time I start my TikTok lives or anything I do, I always preface it by saying, nobody mention the word over. Because when I go through a game and you say over, I got to take it.
I'm in.
So I'm in. Chaos plus 1.5. Let's get weird.
That was really tough. There we go. We got some consensus without consensus. That's how we do it here on Over and Back with Mikey. Over. Speaking of overs, man, let's get into total talk here. Another game that figures to be a good one. Hopefully, we got the stars out in this one. We got Archers taking on Cannons. Archers 1.5 point favorites. Total in this one 24.5. Archers kind of stumbled out of the gate a little bit. Let's be real. But last week, dude, they looked like a wagon regardless if Amon is in or out. 17 goals last week. They showed that they can score. So I think we start with that. The total in this one, 24.5. I would be floored if you said, yeah, I like the under in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never catch me saying that. So we'll just start there. No, but I like the over in this game for sure. But I have to say, my play of the board for this upcoming weekend is the Archers minus 1.5. This Archers team It's a little bit of a homer pick. I will say a little bit of a homer pick. They're my team. I came into the league, love that there's no geographical restrictions.
Yeah.
So I picked it purely off of jerseys. Just going to get that out there now. I was
orange highlighters, dude, they're fresh, man.
Dude, they're fresh and they come out screaming. So give me the Archers -1.5 here. Listen, if Lyle's still out for the Cannons, I took the Cannons last week, trusting that without Lyle, they'd be able to cover the +1.5 that they had. Did not work out in my favor. So I'm just going to go ahead, take my team -1.5 against a Cannons team where if Lyle doesn't play, I think this game gets out of hand for the Cannons, to be honest with you, because I want to hear what your take on it. But the Archers on offense are flying, dude.
And that's the thing is the scary part is with this Archers offense is they're still without one of the best like vision players in the world in Grant Amon. Like, so you know what I mean? Like you add him back in. If you look at the MVP odds, as a matter of fact, he's still like in the top 7 players. He hasn't even stepped on the field yet. So that shows you the respect that odds makers have for Grant Amon and what he brings to the field. And still they're scoring 17 goals. Sure, they stumbled out of the gate a little bit, but I'm with you, man. I look at some of these other player props for these Archers players like Matt Moore, 2.5, Will Manny, 4.5. Will Manny's dropped a hat trick plus some every week. Like, I'm right there with you. This offense is terrifying, and I think the only way, and I hate to like shortchange any of the Cannons players because, you know, any of these players that are in the PLL are some of the best on the globe. You know what I mean?
Water Dogs, but sure.
Yeah, there you go. The way to slide that one in there.
I'm just
still
kidding.
hurting from
kidding.
Still hurting from week 1, dude. I'll tell you what, the guys on PMT, they're the owners of the team, and they would probably say the exact same thing as you. So you're in good company.
They just sold my soul, guys on the Water Dogs. I'm sure you're great, man. I'm sure you're great. I'm just kidding.
And you can slide in his mentions there at Mikey over 1. Let him know Water Dogs players. He would love to hear from you. But
let me know.
But in this Cannons game, though, man, like I feel like, and again, I don't want to shortchange anybody, but without Lyle Thompson, I mean, he is the guy who makes that all go. You know what I mean? So I just find this game insanely hard to pick without Lyle Thompson. Even with Lyle Thompson in this game, with what we saw from the Archers last week, and really last year as well, they're just a tough team unless you're firing on all cylinders to hang with. You know what I mean? And that's even with Lyle in the offense.
And I think, too, you know, I mean, you told me pre-show that, you know, you played lacrosse, you've coached lacrosse. The one thing that I learned about lacrosse when I played it is that when the sticks are hot, in no other sport, I mean, I guess you can kind of relate it to hockey, but the sticks remain relatively hot. And the Archers sticks right now literally can't miss. I mean, we're putting up 17 goals, and now we're going up against a team where, like you said, Lyle Thompson, he drives that boat. Like, it is a noticeable miss when he's not there. And you give a team with hot sticks that's playing without their best player. So, by the way, the morale is through the roof right now because we're going, hey,
they're
guys,
like rolling. They're like, and we get Grant Amon back soon.
You know what I mean? Let's just play with the cuffs off here. I mean, I love the -1.5. I think you might see that line move to 2.5 if Lyle is out again. So I'm going to just take it now at -135 for sure.
Look at that, a little market prognosticating out of Mikey here.
I mean,
because I'm with you. If he's out, this spread is going to move. I'm right there with you. 100%. And if he's in, there's going to be a heavy juice change either way. So I'm with you there. Before we end on this one and swing into our last game that we're going to cover here, talk some player props as well. I know over is the theme of the show today here, though. Lyle Thompson has a point total posted right now, and it's 4.5. Now, if there was ever, I mean, it's so hard to say, yeah, let me take the best player in the world, arguably, and let me go under his point total, you know, at not full health, even if he does play potentially, if there was ever a time to make a case for a Lyle Thompson under 4.5, like, is it this week? Or you're like, hell no, dude, I can't do it either way.
I mean, I can't do it. In my soul, I can't take it.
I'm a man of principle, and I will not play an under.
Yeah, I can't be brought on this show and fold on my entire morals in one show because Lyle Thompson's nursing an injury and we like the under of 4.5. No, but listen, my whole thesis on that is that I love sports. The reason why I love doing what I'm doing right now is sports is my favorite thing. I think there's nothing like sports that brings excitement, that brings heartbreak day to day, week to week, year to year, that you can get so invested in. And when I watch sports, I want to have fun. So when I'm watching, rooting for the over to me feels like I'm rooting for them to overachieve. Like if I'm watching your podcast, I want you to have a great podcast, right? Like I'll take the over on the minutes on a podcast any day of the week. When I'm watching sports, I want to take the over because when I see Lyle coming in and he's at that crease, I want him to score. I want to be like, oh, bang that, so I can get up on my couch and be like, oh shit, that was nuts. And so they're going like, oh shit, no, miss. That's just not fun for me. So to make a long story short, I will not be taking the under.
No under, no injury, no problem. That's Mikey Overs. Again, make sure you follow him on Twitter at MikeyOver1. Check out his TikTok channel. Terrific content being put out on a daily basis at Mikey Over. Absolutely, man. Like I love it, dude. You got moves too. Like if you are hopping in the club, like look out, because Mikey Over probably coming for your girl with the moves that he has. Just check out his TikTok and you'll see what I'm talking about.
No,
man.
yeah,
Like,
I get dangerous in the club.
Yeah, do you like practice that, or does it just come natural?
Now, I will say though, it feels so cringe doing it, but like using the sounds and like dancing and being like, oh, check
and your neighbors are like looking out their window like, oh
my God, bro.
Mikey's at it again.
Dude, when I do it outside and people are like watching me, I'm just like, I've warned people before. I'd be like, just, you know, you're about
yourself,
to watch. Like, yeah, what you're about to watch, you're not going to like, because you're not going to hear them. Like, you're not going to like it. So it's like, you know, whatever it is. But no, I appreciate it. No, in the club, though, I'm a menace on the feet for sure.
I believe that. I fully believe that. I'm taking the over on that every time.
And I'm trying to get out to some PLL games this year and give Paul some business. Because I'll tell you what, you put a spoon in my hand, I might make Paul Rabel look like a little bit of
taking you put an over half point on a one-on-one game. You and Paul Rabel, are you getting a half point?
I think my line would be at 3.5.
Oh, wow, they're showing some respect.
No, I'll take the over for sure. I mean, I don't know. Paul might have lost a step. You know, I'm feeling young and spry. You know, you put the Archers jersey on. I mean, that's
fair. That's fair. You get that orange highlighter, John. You never know how it's going to go right there. It's done for, baby. Speaking of done for, let's get into the last segment here on the show. Angle of the week time. And yes, we saved one of the best matchups for last. Atlas, the absolute wagon, 1.5 point favorites against the Whips. Total in this one, 24.5. Mikey, all this Whips team does is make you think that the game is over. Like if there was live betting currently on the PLL, I would have lost a bag. I would have lost all my coins betting.
You wouldn't have an ass
against the exactly. I would have NAS, no ass syndrome, because like they seem like they're dead to rights. They're down by so many goals, and then all they do is make the game close late, and then all they do is either win in overtime or with 2 seconds left. I mean,
100%.
All this Whips team does is win games late. Like, does this game stay close? And if it does, do the Whips pull off that magic again?
Listen, here's the thing about this game that I really love is that I'm taking the over because this Atlas, hold on, shocker, guys.
Make sure you're sitting down for this.
Yeah, listen, the knees are gonna go, so sit down for what's about to come out of my mouth. Listen, the over in this game could be at 40, and I'd take it for a couple reasons. One, like you said, this Whip Snakes team is literally never out of it. I've never watched a team in another sport where I'm like, oh, they're chalked. And then the next quarter, I'm like, holy shit, like we're right back in it. Like, what the hell? But I mean, the reason I was looking away from the camera is because on my phone, I had to look up the Atlas scores just so I had the right numbers.
I'm with you.
This is an Atlas team that put up 17 and then 16 goals in back-to-back games against good teams. That's the Redwoods and the Cannons. I mean, probably not the Premier or the PLL, right? But I mean, this is an Atlas team that regardless, if you're putting up goals, you're putting up goals. So the Whip Snakes key here is stay in the game, which is why I like the over, because the Atlas are going to score.
Good point.
I think by now, I'd love to hear your take, but the Atlas are going to get their goals. I think if you're playing the Atlas the rest of the year, you have to stay in the game by scoring because the Atlas are going to get their goals. They've seen when their offense is flowing, they seem unstoppable. And a couple of the mic'd up, I have to say, the PLL has the best mic'd up, by the way. I think I've like,
it's stellar.
It is like
when
hysterical.
they're celebrating and like Boyle just like interrupts him. He's like, hey, I'm going to have to interrupt your celebration because I want to know what you saw in that. And just like, absolute electric. We got an F-bomb that slipped out by one of the Redwoods players. Like, dude, it is must-see TV. And since they're on ESPN Plus on some of these games, like, you don't have to worry about it, like, getting censored. Like, Andy Towers just gets to go full Towers. It's incredible, dude.
Dude, I love the trash talk. Like, I think it was the Atlas game where I forget who it was scored.
Injected
and they were like,
veins.
you got to switch. You got to switch.
Yeah.
Like, you can't guard me. I was like, oh, my God, let's go.
Yeah. You're like, yes, I need this. I need more of this.
Literally, I need that in my veins.
I'm right there with you, man. And as far as, this game goes, I think your look towards the over is a really good one because I know it's 24.5. So some people are going to say, that's a high total for the PLL, but the Atlas also have shown like their defense is even like a little bit underrated. Their net minding is a little bit underrated. So your key to staying in a game with them is you got to be hot. And this Whips team has shown, if you just look at some of these player props, you got Jay Carlson, 2.5 points, Justin Gutterding, 2.5 points, Matt Rambo, 2.5 points. So that just to me, seeing that those are kind of lower numbers, like we typically see like a 3.5 for a guy who contributes every week. Like that's telling me that they just say any of these guys could go off at any minute. And that just plays towards an over with an offense like the Atlas who can score with literally every player that's on the field.
1,000%. I do not hate. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't hate Matt Rambo's over 2.5. He's a thick little unit. And I feel like in this game,
he has a thick boy summer.
Yeah, it's a thick boy summer for Matt Rambo out here. But no, I will say, a term I love is go to your GOAT, right? Like go to your GOAT when the game gets tough, when you're playing a great team. Matt Rambo's kind of that engine for this Whip Snakes team. So I like his over at 2.5 here because like you said, the Atlas against the Cannons and the Redwoods, they let up 8 to the Cannons, 11 to the Redwoods. So their defense is no joke because they're putting up 17 and 16. So they're playing both sides of the ball. But listen, that's the key. Like you said, the Whip Snakes to stay in this, they have to score. And I like any over on the Whip Snakes because this is going to be a high scoring affair. I don't see this being a real defensive battle. Obviously there's going to be great defense being played, but we need the over. So
yeah. This has been the over edition of over and back for sure. Last question I have for you on this one, and then we'll just get some, thoughts on the board as a whole before we get the folks out of here. I just look at this Jeff Teat number for his total points. It's 5.5. Dude, that's a good number by the odds makers because week 1, he just flew over his total. So it started at 3.5, then went to 4.5. Now it's 5.5. Like, I know you never take unders on principle. Like, could this number potentially get high enough that you ever think, maybe I should look towards the under? Because Jeff Teat is just amazing what he's doing. Odds on favorite for MVP, and you see why weekly.
No, he is actually insane.
Yeah,
like that. And I'll tell you what, though, I looked at that number, and to be honest with you, I think I saw it at plus 130. I looked at that number and I sprinkled on it straight because there's no way that I'm going to lose. I can't see any scenario where this is going to be the first good team I think they're going to play. Not that the Cannons and the Redwoods aren't great, but like we said, they've had their problems. Lyle was out. This is a good Whip Snakes team, right? So this is going to be the first matchup where the Atlas go, all right, let's put it on the table and see what we got. And Teat's not a guy I want to fade. So I'll take the over at 5.5, and I don't mind losing my ass if he gets 5, but I don't see him getting anything under literally maybe 5. Like
I think that's the floor for him now is like what he set up. Because the thing is too is, okay, you mark him up, you put your best pole on him. He can still distribute even with a pole on him. And then he's dumping it on the doorstep to a Chris Gray. He's dumping it on a cutting Eric Law. Like, because it's not just sole goals that he has to get, I truly think like the floor has become 5 points, and that's why this number's so damn good by the odds makers.
And like you said, it's a great number because it's one of those numbers where the bookmakers go, it's plus money on the over and it's really high. Maybe you stay away or take it under, and that's when I take the over.
I love it. I love it. The case always ready to be made for the over. Last thing I want to just mention in this game is something's got to give because Atlas have been rolling this year. Let's be real about it, but it's very rare that you see the Whip Snakes as underdogs. This is only the 3rd time we've seen it in the years that we've had betting on PLL, widely available. 3-0 lifetime against the spread as dogs. So they keep the games close, man. But, this Atlas team, again, I'll say what I said at the top. They are an absolute wagon. I would rather just pass the game, not bet the game, than fade them even against a team like the Whips. Like that's the way that I look at it.
No, 100%. That record sounds like, me in the club with 10s, as an underdog. As an underdog, 3-0. The minute I'm a favorite, I'm done.
Forget about it.
I'm just around. But no, I totally agree with you, dude. I couldn't agree with you more. I have the Atlas money line written down. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have Atlas money line written down. I love the PLL structure too because I love two-teamers, so I always do two-teamers.
Okay.
But I have the Atlas money line for sure written down. The over is my favorite play in that game for sure. But like you said, I mean, I hate fading teams that are great as underdogs, and the Whipsnakes are great as underdogs. And to be honest with you, this could reek of a game where the Whipsnakes are a little bit battle tested. They've played a little bit better teams.
Great
come out here and surprise the Atlas, where the Atlas just played a banged up Cannons and a Redwoods team that has kind of struggled to find their mark, but are somehow favorites. So, I mean, this, like, you could be on the perfect side of the coin with +1.5 because the Whipsnakes could come out and be like, F what you heard about the Atlas. Like, what's good? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the Whips do. Like, they take, when you think you have all of the chips down on the table, they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't have pocket aces, I have the royal flush. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're sitting with a great hand, and they're just like, no, yeah, guess what? I got a flush on the river, so you're done for. So I'm right there with you, man. I think this is a hard game to bet. I think it might be the best game of the weekend, though, just from a competition standpoint.
100%.
So,
I love
what? Dude, I'll tell you what, awesome job, man. Love having you on. We'll have to have you back. Any closing thoughts before we get the folks out of here? Let them know where to find you. And again, man, thanks for taking time out and joining us.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can find me on Twitter at MikeyOver1, all one word. You can find me on TikTok at MikeyOver. I mean, I guess a parting thing I would say is, you know, if you're not a fan of the over, you're just a coward at this point. No, I'm just messing around, but I appreciate you for having me on, man. This has been great. The PLL has been awesome to watch this year. I can't wait. I'm trying to get out to some games this year for sure. But no, I can't wait. And just tell Rabel I'm coming.
He's coming, and the point total 3.5. I thought it was a little high, but
Juice
Mikey
that.
over. Take the over. 3.5 minus whatever it's going to be, minus 150 and only climbing.
Here we
go.
go.
Awesome work. Hope people enjoyed the episode. If you did, all we ask you to do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're going to have you back, Mikey, because electricity and
100%.
overs, the name of the game here on this edition. So that's going to do it for us. For my guy, Mikey Overs, couldn't say thank you more to him. Check him out, Betters Bet on Discord, and as you mentioned, find him on TikTok and Twitter as well. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and we'll talk to you next week. Make sure you bet responsibly, and we'll see you then on Over and Back.